wish to tell you why it's such a good morning. The sky is blue above the clouds. Our water is clean. You're here, and I'm here. And this green forest is fed by CO2, as well as our bodies. It's a known fact, and it's a law of the planet that we are a carbon-based planet, and for anything to operate on this planet is CO2 based. So where do I even start? Last time I was talking about hate speech and such. Just to put things into a bit of perspective, you know, with hate speech, you use this type of hate speech to divide people. All right, so and so the public service has really turned this into an art. This is what the 1% elitists do, and they've been doing this for a long time. You know, and this is why our native cousins have had to suffer prisoner of war camps, and you know, the Highway of Tears, where they found the mass graves, and have found out that a lot of those young ladies that have disappeared are in these mass graves. And if you haven't heard about the Highway of Tears, just Google it. It's up in northern BC here, Highway 16. Yeah, there's a lot of terrible things, and you can't tell me that that we don't pay enough to this crown corporate police force or military force we call the RCMP. You can't tell them that we don't give them enough resources. They seem to have all the resources in the world to attack any individual mom and pops that stub their toe and trip when there's a statute against it or whatever. I mean, it's, you know, it's disgusting. You know, so. You know, this hate speech thing I was reading, you know, that poem 1898. So that's the first publicly attested term of hate speech. And a term is like a term of art, right? So it's interpreted by those who use the term. Like the legal society uses terms all the time. They have many terms. They don't use words. They'll hit you with the term and trick you, thinking that they're actually, and have you think that they're actually using legal English words, and they're not. They're screwing with you so that they can get legal, jurisdiction over you, so that they can basically, monetize you. Yeah, basically monetize you. They make money off you. Anyways, I'm not going to go into the legal society too much right now. So, you know, that poem, getting back to the poem, so, you know, the poem was basically talking about, from what I saw, basically is that the creator, you know, the creator loved his creation beyond a shadow of a doubt. But his creation was envious and prideful, and did wish to be the creator himself rather than the creation, and therefore fell from grace, or therefore fell from his position of title. Okay, that's how I interpret that poem. I don't have it with me. I'd reread it to you. But hate speech first attest to, and then you know, started to get, you know, solidified in statutory law, you know, in the 90s, late 80s and 90s. But this is what's happened. We created a government, a public service to serve this nation. We created a public service to recognize that, you know, our culture. We created, you know, a public service to protect the property of mankind on this land. And part of our property are our inalienable, endowed, intrinsic, fundamental rights as men or women. Well, Now that creation, if you go to Black's Law number 4, I think it is, and look up human being, is it defines it as a monster. And the reason is, it's not because Blacks was against humanity, as a sense that we know it, but the human being is basically a man-made creation. It's another person, like a corporation or a government. Okay, if you look at corporations and governments, they are a creation of man, and so therefore, they are created with the intent of benefiting, or I hate to use the word benefit, but they're created with the intent of serving mankind, like to as a blessing, to us, the protection of property, the only thing that any man or woman owes the government on this land is for the simple protection of property. Seriously. So so say we that's what we create, okay, protection of property, protecting the borders, protecting the area, protecting the streets from wrongdoers, evildoers, psychopaths. So, but what happens is our creation now, who is full of envy and pride of the ones that they serve, everyone they serve, by mandate, and the reason they're created for mankind, because of their envy and pride, they spew hate speech. It's a way they can figure out so the servants could rule the house rather than the beneficiary of the house, and or the master of the house, and so what they do is they create hate speech, and they use hate speech in a term as in like that poem 1890. Look up hate. Just look up hate in etymology dictionary online, and you'll find the poem. So what these guys have done to us as a nation, they have pitted all our differences, and so our differences, our uniquenesses. Like, even though we are all the same, we are all unique. Okay, we are all the same as that we all require CO2 to survive. That all our bodies are all are based in carbon. That we all have the ability, unless unfortunately, you have a disability in that, but for the most part, we all have an ability to reason, to think, to critically, to ask questions, and so on and so forth. That we all have rights that were endowed by our Creator, that need to be recognized by our creation, this public service, and what we call a government. So get a little lost in all that. So what they've done is, and like I said in the other film, is, like Trudeau Senior, he turns around and says, well, even though unemployment insurance was created for the dignity of mankind within this nation, and there was just a basic stipulation, hey, you got 6 months in full-time work, and you're good for a year if something happens. They've totally screwed up the whole system. They made it so hard, and they're picking and choosing winners and losers. So it was hate speech that Mr. Trudeau did within this nation, and promoted it, and started calling our cousins in the Maritimes lazy bums. And that was his lawful excuse to go in and screw with our dignity, with our unemployment insurance, that belongs to the people, to keep dignity, so that mankind on this land could keep their dignity. So they hate that. They don't. It's not in the mandate of this corrupt elite 1% that has slithered their way into a public service to keep dignity. All right, so I have not seen it. I see a lot of hate speech. I see the state, the state hirelings there, the media or whatever, the state media, the state. I see them promoting hate speech whenever it comes against a mandated something that was mandated down by the public service, so that you need to hate anybody who's white right now so that we can keep people divided. You need to hate anybody who wishes to access their own natural resources, because we have to use the environment to keep people divided. You have to hate anybody who wishes to keep their arms, which only the free world has. You know what? Forget the arms. Now it's speech. Okay, so you need to spew hate speech at anybody who believes in free speech and free expression, which is your property. Free speech is your property. That is an inalienable right of every man and woman within the free world, every one of us. So pick which nation of the free world, and that is their right, endowed by our Creator. Okay, you are our creation to serve us. Obviously, you're proudful and envious of our position as mankind, as your Creator, and so through hate speech, then that way you can separate us, get us all fighting over indifferences, and then we can't come together as a nation, and then you got us, and you can create the chaos and the problems, and then you can come out with the solutions to give yourself more control over your creators. It's a Frankenstein story. Frankenstein is a corporate story. Mary Shelley was writing about, and her parents were international in business and government, and I think her mother was the first woman to be she was the first woman to be I think she was the first woman to be a professor of business or something. I can't quite remember, but anyways, so when she wrote the book, Frankenstein was a symbol of man's creation, right, of a corporation. All right, so there's a person there, but it was created by man. Okay, all persons are created by man. And so what happened was, Frankenstein, like the basis of the story is somebody did create something, with all good intent. But what happened was the creation was too powerful and got out of control and started to kill man, destroy man. If you look in Black's Laws number 4, you'll find out that human is monster. Okay, human is Frankenstein. It's created. Human was created by man. Well, human was probably created by the legal society, but man was created by God, mankind. There's an old truism that's based in our culture. It goes way back, and probably none of you or very few of you have ever heard this, but the least of man, okay, so I'm talking about mankind, okay, feminine and masculine, and everybody in between, because we're all of mankind. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're of two spirits, or it doesn't matter. We are all of mankind, the disabled to the smartest, to the most evil, to the best of us, are all of mankind. So the saying goes, the greatest, or I should say, the least of man is greater than the greatest of men. Let that one sink in for a while. Maybe I'll explain it to you. Oh, I wish to also apologize if I haven't. If you've sent me a question or remark on my YouTube station, I haven't answered it. Please forgive me. I try to. I go over 'em and I get well. I'm just so busy living hand to mouth myself, even though I have two skilled trades. Yeah, I just don't get as much time on the computer as I wish. So the same thing here, you know. So we're looking at, you know, we're looking at these. Like, even though Max was accepted into the national debate now, and it was like, okay, we can't film Max, we can't go with Max, an official party, okay, the People's Party, we can't go with the People's Party because they haven't been invited to the official debate, so we won't have any press with his campaign. What does one have to do with the other? Another excuse, because I believe the People's Party is about bringing back the power to the people and putting Frankenstein, the legal society, this de facto government, back into check mode, back into the mandate that we created him for. Okay, so I would like to see at least some of that done. So even though now he's accepted, has anybody seen a team with his campaign? I haven't. A team of reporters. There must be some free press guys out there. You know, there must be some independent citizen free press that could go out there and you know, ride around. I'm sure anybody from the free press is not allowed to ride around with Scheer or Trudeau or Singh or the American woman. What's her name? Elizabeth May, that woman. Yeah, the American woman that called the Canadians stupid. I understand why she called us stupid. We're sucking into all the BS. Oh, and just a quick note, you do realize that, like, I'm sure most folks of this land, within this nature and this culture, have heard of Black's Law's Dictionary. Well, Black's wasn't the name of the guy that created the legal dictionary. Okay, it was actually created on the idea on how you legally treat your slaves. It was a slave dictionary, legal dictionary, guys. That's why it's called Black's. Wow. Slavery is outlawed in all its forms on this land. Servitude is outlawed in all its forms on this land. Nobody shall be held in servitude on this land. So by tricking, coercing, and getting for you to agree that you are the person, okay, the creation of our creation that they're looking for, that way the judiciary or legal society can trick you into being in submission, to being in servitude to legal society, and therefore you lose your standing as a man, as mankind. As mankind, you have a right to face your accuser. As mankind, you have a right to stand in honor and face your accuser. Slavery is outlawed in all its forms, so they use trickery. So here's a good one. So, you know, anybody ever hear of Ethelred? I think that was it, or Ethelred. Sorry, King Ethelred. Back when England was first being kind of created. Well, there was a man that wrote up most of his laws. His name was Wulfstan. Okay, Wulfstan sounds Viking, doesn't it, guys? So, and he also wrote up a bunch of laws for Canute, another titled man in the creation of what we call the Commonwealth now, basically common law lands within the Commonwealth, with the House of Commons of the common man. And I say common man, I mean mankind, and all of us in between, guys. There's not one of us that isn't a part of mankind, unless you are an actual alien, okay, from a different planet, and you're not here by nature. But otherwise, we are cousins. We are brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and cousins. We are grandmothers and grandfathers and mothers and fathers. We are a family of mankind. Okay, now within this family of mankind, what we have is we have this nation. Okay, and within this nation, we have culture. And we have the common law that preserves our culture. The law of the land that preserves the customs of the people. The customs of the people is the highest law of this land. As long as no harm, loss, or injury is being doled out. Now, we have a lot of harm, loss, and injury being doled out to persons by our Frankenstein, our creation, the public service we call government. And that's what's been going on. And they're blatant about it now. And they control, they have a state media that they control. There is very little free press. And free press is the check, you know, it's a place, it's like, you know, they're like on first watch. You know, so we can all go to bed at night, and if our watchmen see anything going on, that there's a threat, that's what they're supposed to be there for. They're supposed to work for the people, not for the government. No corporate welfare anymore, guys. None. Zero. So here's what this is what Wolfstand wrote way back. He said, "And the man who shall flee from his lord or from his comrade by reason of his cowardice, let him forfeit all that he owns, his own life." So when our little Frankensteins, the creations, societies, organs, corporations, government, public service, when they run away from us, they're cowards. Like when we don't stand up out of principle and honor for our fellow man against our public service, our creation, then we are cowards, and we're the ones who should lose everything. When you come across somebody in peril, it is our duty, our responsibility, obligation, and duty to assist our fellow man that is in trouble. Actually, I was talking about that the other day. I'm heading down the bank, I'm coming back up, here's my neighbor, his wheels fell off his Ford. Oh, poor guy. So they pretty much had it halfway under control by the time I got there, but I would have taken him anywhere. I would have went and got tools. I've got AAA, I would have had him towed, but he had AAA too, so it didn't matter. BCAA, we call it. So, no, but he was thankful I was the only one that stopped. Which is really, that is the rarity within the community I live. Because usually something happens and a few people stop. So the cowards that would sell us out to our creation, to spread hatred, hate speech, to divide the people of this nation, and instead of embracing the culture of this nation, which it's a diversified culture that we do have. I mean, you know, those of us, our cousins and that are say like generational families of Quebec, you know, it goes back to the French settlements. Now, even though there was a war between the French and the English, and the English won the war within that Quebec area, France still owns like Detroit and New York and stuff. And what they did was they sold it. They sold that area to the Americans. And these guys are laughing at you know, Trump wanted to buy Greenland. Well, no, they bought Alaska. They bought Louisiana from the Spanish, I believe it was. They bought, you know, New York and Detroit and that from or Michigan from the French. I mean, they've been doing this since their inception, those guys. So the only thing that's going on here, so I don't wish to hear another word from any public servant, wannabe public servant, about how you're going to give us back our own property if we elect you. How you are going. Shearer, what do you mean you're going to give back? Like you're gonna give back? Like it's ours. It's ours. How about you stop taking so much from us, build the economy, all right? Do your job and build the economy so that we can decide if we wish to have 2 jobs or wish to maintain with 1 job and take care of our own children or our own kids. I hate that word children because it's a legal term. And it's one of the ways the legal society gets jurisdiction over your property, your children, your kids. So, no, you stop saying you're not giving money to a private corporation so that you can give rebates to the elites that can afford your crappy cars. No. Let free enterprise dictate. Let free enterprise come out with the technology and the inventiveness. Let them do it on their own merit so that we get proper technology, so that we don't get, if you start giving corporate welfare to these guys, we'll get stuck in a rut and we won't be able to get out of it. They'll say, well, they get lazy, they get complacent. Oh, we got this money coming in. What do we got to, just like, the bought and paid for media, complacent and lazy. They besmirch people's good names. They in public with it's ridiculous. Our creation is monster. Frankenstein is getting out of control. And I hope you vote Max. I have some other things to say, but I mean, are we that stupid? Elizabeth May, you might have been right. I don't know. Ouch. There's a motorcycle in my way. Okay, I got 2.5 more minutes. All right. Notice the conservatives, they're begging for $50, $100, $150. They take all this money from us already. But if you notice, the PPC asked for $2 and $5 and maybe $20. Because maybe the people of the PPC are our neighbors and part of the actual people have to earn a living, not those that just ride on one through public money that's not earned. Anyways, I'll let it go there for now. Well, if you ever get the chance, forget it. Later.